Why would somebody wish the life out of themselves? Why would somebody wish to die, to leave their life? Well, it's because they are living a life they do not want. And that is all self-sensory perception. What stands between a life received, as in what you desire, in contrast to what you feel is unfair, is humility. It's always humility. There are people not considering suicide on a daily basis. Maybe they have felt that life is tough sometimes, everybody goes through challenges, but they have not considered suicide. Why aren't they doing that? Are they having such a great life with minimal resistance? It's all a perception, and I would not try to infuse any kind of value into that regarding yourself and other people. You don't know what other people experience, and in relation to what you are experiencing, there is just no comparison. You can't compare suffering. It's impossible, actually. So the resistance that you carry is also the resistance that grows as you refuse to be humble. So guidance and help is always there. The next step for you is always right there. But you have to be humble, and you have to ask yourself. You have to ask self. Soul, self, love, God, source, true, one and the same. Yourself, mental construct, a personal identity that has the ability to be shaped and formed as you desire. So what do you desire? The undesired life that you are receiving, experiencing, is not primary. It is secondary. Life is secondary to you. Life happens outside of you as a reflection, but the primary origin is your acknowledgement and perception, sensory perception of yourself. That is what you project out as to receive a challenge. And that challenge can be from, this is the baseline of neutral, and here we have negativity, here we have positivity. All of these are possibilities. So you can be here, and that makes for a challenge coming up to good enough, to actually feel that you accept yourself and all that you are. There is an old clip with Ram Dass being interviewed, and the interviewer says, "Ram Dass, how can we love ourselves more?" And he says, "You cannot not love yourself. That's impossible. But we have trouble accepting ourselves." And then he goes on to say that if you go out into the forest and you see a bunch of trees, you don't say that that tree is better than that tree unless you're in the lumber business. And that's all about value. And the value becomes destructive when we are not inspired and we compare ourselves to others. And that is mostly in a superficiality, but also in a false sense of knowledge in relation to somebody else and their current stage of development. How can you know anything about that? And maybe they are not aware where they are. So how can you be that? And how can you make that comparison? It's just don't do that. And it all comes down to awareness. So are you supposed to become so aware of them? Or can you focus inwardly and become aware of who you are, where you are, where you're going, and what feels good to you? And that's a bit of a tricky one, because if you have grown up like I did with a bunch of circumstances, but among those I was receiving a lot of attention when I was sad, like a lot of acknowledgement, and I did not receive as much when I was happy and things were going good. Then it was just like taken for granted. So I felt like I was taken for granted. And my success then, as I got older, I dismissed my success because I was taught to discard and take myself for granted. And then we want to feel as much as possible, feel love, and feel to experience more. And then it becomes sorrow and sadness. That becomes feeling and experiencing. So I continued to sabotage and create circumstances and put myself in situations to tell myself that I really didn't know what I was telling myself. I wasn't listening. I was just feeling and accepting these kinds of conditions from the prior conditioning. And that's where you really need to become aware and objective, and to look at what is actually going on and where do I come from and why is stuff happening to me, without condemnation and justification. I have been through that a lot. I hate my mom and dad for years, and I wanted to like blow them up on a raft outside in the ocean and clap my hands. But I don't want that anymore, because you have to come to terms with who you are and what's going on and how to free yourself, because you're in prison. If you want to commit suicide, you want to give up your life, then you are in jail. You are incarcerated within yourself. You are stuck in a thought. You are stuck in justification, condemnation in relation to yourself. And that's how you free yourself, as you come to understanding, forgiveness, and release. There is no quick fix. There can be a quick fix, and it happens for some, like a realization. And that's meant for them, I guess, because it was time. And that comes differently for all of us. But I believe that the longer the struggle, the bigger the challenge perceived, the greater the destiny, because to get out of that, you will get a lot of understanding, a lot of love, and a lot of forgiveness, and a lot of experience, which makes you an asset as to help others, because you've been in the shit like nobody else. And then you can unlock a bunch of broken hearts for others more easily, as you have now gained all of that experience. You will not get a sweet release from committing suicide and you will not be remembered as somebody who contributed to life. That's the truth. People create memorial concepts around people that have committed suicide, and I don't believe that we should discard them and like be condescending and forget about them. It's not about that. But if somebody commits suicide, I don't think that we should name a sports arena or something after them, because it sends out a complete contrasting message to get up, try again, stay strong, and be humble, and you will get through this. This too shall pass is in relation to whatever. Everything will pass. What makes that elongate and create such tension that it becomes unbearable and you feel like this is not gonna pass is you holding on. It is your refusal to be humble. And eventually that pressure becomes so strong that you break down in tears. And in that moment you become humble. And then you have the choice to remain humble and learn what actually happened here and why. Or you can get up and strengthen that facade again and become somebody that you were, only that received a punch from life again. That's not true. Life is not punching you. God is not punching you. Love is not punching you. Nothing is punishing you. You need to be humble, and that is not submissive. Humble and submissive is not the same thing. But you have to give up. You have to give up your conviction because you are so convinced that this is the way it's supposed to be and this is who I am. That's not true. You can be and have and live the life you want. And the life you want is not necessarily what you think. So you need to be in contact with your heart. Always. This is God. This is a connector thingy. God is love. Love is God. It's the same thing. God is not religious. You don't need religion. But religion is a vehicle that brings you home. Home is where the heart is, if you interpret and use religion correctly. Religion is a knife. And a knife can cut bread. And a knife can cut a throat. It depends on how you use it. And that comes from being a loving, compassionate human being, or a logical, rational unit. Guess which one is which? It's not hard. This is not rocket science. And even though it seems so dark, also know that karma is a part of it. It's like a vinyl record that plays your song in perfect pitch and in perfect timing. And then you have your ancestral karma, which is like a thumb on the record of it, depending on how little responsibility and humility your ancestral lineage could handle, given their circumstances. So don't judge them. You weren't there. It always becomes better. So think about that. It was tougher on them. And you are the one who can take that thumb away for everybody. And then the family record is like, yeah, with a great song. Perhaps we are family or something like that. Okay, 15 minutes. Nice to do a forest video. I love you all. Please check out my other videos and look at transmutation.se to learn more what it's like to get to know yourself and to be true, as to get the most out of life and to receive the life that you are worthy naturally with abundance. It's a given. No questions asked. It's just a given. Here you are. You are welcome. You're welcome. It's your life. Enjoy. Enjoy yourself. Live your life from the inside out. Peace.